ओम वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्कपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थितदद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ओम। So namaste once again everyone.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste Guruji.
Just give me a second. Okay. So where were we? Let me see. Yeah, we were on the 40
Shloka, verse 42.
42. अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यदीदृशम्. So, in spite of Bhagavan's encouragement, Arjuna became very pessimistic with regard to his own spiritual journey. And the reason is that Arjuna understood that this spiritual journey involves knowledge, and spiritual knowledge involves refinement of the mind, management of the mind, or purification of the mind, you can say. And when Arjuna looks at his own mind, he feels that it is not possible at all to be the master of his own mind. Because mastery of the mind is perhaps the most difficult mastery. Thinkers say that the greatest victory in life is the victory over one's own mind. And Krishna says that it is a prerequisite. It is a necessary condition for spiritual knowledge as well as the assimilation of that knowledge. And therefore, Arjuna feels that if mastery of the mind is a prerequisite, a necessary condition, I do not think I will be ever able to accomplish that. And therefore, he feels that moksha in this life is out of question. Insofar as this life is concerned, he feels that he will be a spiritual failure. And since he has come to this conclusion that in this life I am not going to make it, he has started thinking about the next life. Obvious, isn't it? And therefore, because if some boy who has taken an examination, he finds after the exam that he is not going to pass. So what he will do? Naturally, he will think, okay, this time I may miss it. I may not pass. Next time I will prepare better. And therefore, he wants to know what will happen to such spiritual failures, which is technically referred to as yoga prashta. And that prompted him to raise the questions which we saw from verses 37 to 39. Then Krishna began his answer from verse number 40, which goes up to verse number 46. And Krishna begins his answer by first pointing out that for a person who has come to spiritual journey, there is no question of spiritual fall at all. Shankaracharya, in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, makes a very important statement. Adhyatma samskarasya nashah na asti. Once the spiritual teachings or thoughts are put in the mind, then they can never be destroyed. There is no destruction for the person. Destruction here we have to understand a fall, failure. Who has come onto the spiritual path. Because this spiritual knowledge and these thoughts are so powerful. All these teachings, the Shravanam that we do, they are all creating spiritual vasanas, Shubha vasanas, and they cannot be destroyed. The maximum that can happen is that there can be a temporary stagnation. Because there are some other karma phalas waiting to be exhausted before the fruits of the spiritual pursuit are realized. It is just like, we have this homam and all. What will happen? Initially, the fire will be there glowing, and then after some time, the fire will subside, and all that fire will be covered by ashes. It will appear that the fire is died down. So the glowing embers of the fire are no longer there. But our experience is that fire once lit never dies, is never destroyed. So only it may be temporarily covered with by ash. From outside, when you look, it may appear as though there is no fire, but you do a little bit of fanning, the fire will surface in full glow. Similarly, once you have put spiritual vasanas, they can never be destroyed. There can be a temporary stagnation, but the spiritual student will pick up the thread from the next janma, and then he will easily attain moksha. And as we saw in the last class, the spiritual failure of this janma, the yoga brashtaha of this janma, becomes the spiritual genius in the next janma. So it is like, what they call the advantage point in the final match of a tennis game, say Wimbledon match. The game is at match point and it is deuce between the two players. Score of 40 points to each player. Then one player wins the next point and gains an advantage. And he has gained the advantage. He has now to win only one more point for winning the set and match, and also the cup. My daughter is calling. I don't know what is the problem. Anyhow, I'll take it after the class. So, this person who is in advantage in the match, he has to win only one more point. So, similarly, this person in this life is already at advantage point. In the next Janma, he has to only win 1 point and then he will win the game of life, receive the Moksha cup. He will win the cup of Jivan Mukti. And there is one more advantage. If he has failed in spirituality in this Janma, Krishna said that the very Jnana Yoga gives him Punya Phalam as a byproduct. And as a result of the Punya Phalam, he will enjoy the heavenly world. And again, of course, he will have to come back here to the Bhuloka, take Manushya Janma, and then continue his spiritual pursuit. In fact, in Kathopanishad, there is a mantra, Yata darshe tatatmani, Yata swapne tata pitriloke, Yata supari, Yata supariva dadrishe, Tata gandharva loke, Chaya tapayoriva brahma loke. I didn't get the meter correctly, but I think it's not set to meter also properly. Doesn't matter. So what he says is spiritual knowledge can be clearly attained only in 2 lokas. So out of the 14 lokas, it cannot be attained in 12 lokas. Either it is not attainable or even if you give benefit of doubt, it will not be clear. So only in 2 lokas, knowledge can be clearly attained. Which are those two lokas? We already know the answer. Manushya Loka and Brahma Loka. And we want the best. And we are prepared to wait for it also. And also, because we are experts in postponement, we will say that we will wait to go to Brahma Loka and get spiritual knowledge from Brahmaji himself. Because most people will, even if they are convinced about all the, first of all, they have to get convinced about all these things. Even if they are convinced, they will say, we'll wait. Last minute, we always believe in doing everything in the last minute, postponement. And Shankaracharya in his Bhashyam writes, no doubt, Brahmaloka is an ideal place to get jnanam, and that too directly from Brahmaji. But getting a visa for going to Brahmaloka, he says, is almost impossible. Because you have to have so much punyam to go to Brahmaloka. But what about getting Manushya Janma? Of course, he says getting Manushya Janma also is extremely difficult. But you need not work for getting Manushya Janma because we are already Manushyas. So use this birth as Manushya birth, this Manushya birth and get this knowledge. That is what Shankaracharya advocates. So even assuming that this Yoga Brashta, because of all the punyam that he has earned, he goes to Swarga Loka, where the punyam being the byproduct of all the Shravanam that he has done, this Yoga Brashta will come back to Manushya Loka and he or she will get the ideal conditions for continuation of the spiritual journey. And how can he or she get continuation? Because continuation requires 2 conditions. First condition is there should be scope for spiritual study. As we know, this teaching is not available everywhere. It is available only in places where there is some semblance of Vedic culture. And therefore, the first thing is there should be an environment for spiritual study. And even more importantly, even if there is an ideal atmosphere, ideal environment, I should have interest. I should have an interest in the study, because Bhagavad Gita classes may be going on in the ground floor, and you may be sitting in your home on the first floor watching some horror movie or some TV serial, oblivious of what is going on the ground floor. Somebody asks you what is going on the ground floor. You say, I don't know, Baba, I don't get into all this. Some Swamiji with saffron robes and all comes and he is doing something. Some classes he is teaching. I don't know what is the subject matter also. This will be your attitude. So, first of all, there should be an ideal situation, ideal environment. Secondly, you must also have interest in that. And Krishna says that Yoga Brashta will have both. First, he will have a family condition or a social condition which are ideal for spiritual pursuit. Gurus will be available, Shastra will be available, classes will be available. All these are required. Suppose there are great gurus and they are observing Mauna. One of the sadhanas, spiritual sadhanas. Observing Mauna. He may be a great guru, great jnani, but he is on Mauna Vrat, Mauni Baba. What can you do? You can't learn anything from him. He is not Lord Dakshinamurti, the Mauna Vyakya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam. That will not happen. So he should be a communicating guru, a Srotriya, one who has the skill to unfold the message of the scriptures. And not only that, I should have inclination also. And we find that majority of the people who are steeped in materialistic pursuits do not have interest. Therefore, in some cases, the environment is there, interest is not there. In some cases, there is a deep interest, deep thirst, but there is no opportunity. So Krishna says for a yoga prashta, both will be there. Guarantee. Since he has missed the bus in the previous birth, he will be blessed with both in this birth. So if you miss the bus in this janma, you are going to be sufficiently early in the next janma. That means spirituality starts from early in life. And we have seen this. Living examples of this we have seen in our own lives. So Krishna is now going to say this in the next sloka. Tatra tam buddhi sanyogam labate paurvadehikam yatate chattato bhuyah samsiddhau kuru nandana. Anvaya is, He Kuru Nandana, tatra labate tam buddhi sanyogam paurvadehikam cha yatate tataha bhuyah samsiddhau. He Kuru Nandana, He Arjuna, tatra there, labate he attains, tam buddhi sanyogam, association with that knowledge, paurvadehikam, which belongs to the previous body, chayatate, and strives, tataha bhuyaha, once more, again, samsiddhau, for liberation. So, O Arjuna, there he attains association with that knowledge, which belongs to the previous body, and he strives more for liberation. Puts in more efforts. So tatra means the new janma. Either in a prosperous cultured family or a poor wise person's family. Whatever be the family. there, in that family, tam buddhi sanyogam labate. That jiva gets associated with the spiritual maturity which he had acquired in the previous janma. Whatever spiritual gains he made, including sadhana chatushtaya qualifications, whatever amount of viveka, whatever amount of intensity of vairagyam, and whatever knowledge he has acquired through Shravanam, all of them his mind will discover as he grows up. And Tatra can also be taken to indicate that ideal environment. Both meanings we can take. Because places like India is an ideal environment. Where in India we have a spiritual culture. Where each one of us could have been born anywhere, isn't it? We could have been born in Africa. We could have been born in Australia or even Timbuktu, if it is such a place. But we were born in India. That itself is the first environment that was created for us. Now you will ask, others are also born in India, but they are not spiritual. So first condition is satisfied. Second condition is not satisfied. They don't have interest. And in India, wherever you go, there is spirituality. Sanatana Dharma you find in every nook and corner. You go to the mountains, there are temples. There in caves, there are temples. We have so many Mahatmas. And when we talk of, constructing Ram temple and all, the whole country joins in that. So it is a spiritually oriented country. And here, there is further value for religion, sadhu, scriptures, etc. is there. So ideal place for continuing the spiritual journey to reach moksha. That you must always remember. Purpose of this whole journey is that the goal. So Tatra can be taken to indicate both new janma and also a spiritual environment. And Buddhi Sanyogam means association with knowledge and spiritual maturity of the Purva Janma. So he says Buddhi Sanyogam labate. This person will have a spiritual inclination, or he will gain a spiritual inclination. This yoga brashta gets the spiritual inclination in very early life. Brahmacharya ashrame eva, we can say. There are people who do not get these inclinations even after all the ashramas. But these yoga brashtas, the spiritual geniuses, will get spiritual inclination in early life. Otherwise, if they don't get it in, of course, early life, there will be certainly sparks. That spark only becomes a full-fledged fire later on when they grow. And this is not only in the field of spirituality. Any genius, we call child prodigy and all that, right? Any genius in any field is a brashta in the Purva Janma. Brashta in that particular field. That's why, these days we are reading, a 3-year-old boy is playing chess so wonderfully that he has got some recognition. The chess, they have got some recognitions and all that, some international recognition he has got. 3-year-old boy. Can you imagine from how he would have learned this championship chess and all that? Purva Janma. Yoga Brashta of the previous Janma. Picked up right at a very young age. As a child, he has picked up that inclination, chess inclination. We have seen musical geniuses. once when we see all these people, we must always remember these are the people who might have struggled in the Purva Janma. For some reason, they could not attain what they wanted to attain. So, in this Janma, they are continuing that journey. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, therefore, tam vidya karmani samanvara bhede purva prajnacha. It's beautifully said that when the jiva travels, not only the jiva takes all the karmas here means the punya papas, not only the jiva takes all the upasanas, the jiva takes purva prajna cha. Purva prajna means the vasanas that is there from the purva janma, which is indicated here by the word buddhi sayogam. So here we must understand buddhi sayogam as vasana sayogam, shubha vasana, adhyatma vasana sayogam. While everybody is wondering how to make more and more money, this person does not seem to have too much value for all those things. Intuitively, he knows that they are all not important. He cannot spend 24 hours sweating and toiling only for the sake of money. He can't even think of that. He will look for spiritual books. He will look for spiritual programs. He gets attracted to the saffron robe. Kavi is an attraction for him. Whereas for others, Kavi is an allergy. Oh, this beggar sannyasi has come. He is going to now talk to me and get some money out of me. Most people think like that. But this person who has got this attraction for Kavi and spirituality, if you ask him, he cannot explain why there is so much inclination. Give me a minute because my daughter is calling again and again. Must be something urgent. Hello? I am in a class, Mama. Nothing urgent, no. We'll talk later. Sorry for that. Because the third time she is calling, so I thought that must be something urgent. So if you ask this person, he himself cannot explain why there is this inclination. But he will say, I have this inclination, but I don't have an explanation. Therefore, the only explanation must be what? In Purva Janma, he might have done something that must be now carried forward. Therefore, Paurva Dehikam. The vasanas which have been acquired in the Purva Deha. Paurva Dehikam means Purva Deha, which he acquired in the previous body. Now, it's a previous body means what? Because according to Shastra, between two Janmas, the physical body alone is different. Mind is not different. When a person dies now in this Janma, he gives up only the physical body. Stula Sharira only dies. Mind does not die. Sukshma Shariram does not die. Karana Shariram does not die. And therefore, the Sukshma Shariram has got all the vasanas, memory, viveka, vairagyam, etc. And the Karana Shariram is carrying all punyam and papam. And that mature Sukshma Shariram travels and takes another body. And when that body is a baby body, the mind cannot express itself. But when the body goes into 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, then the mind, which is a spiritual mind, an evolved mind, a mature mind of the previous Janma, Purva Deha, which has been continuing, that mind blooms. And that is why we say, a mother never gives birth to the mind of the child. A mother gives birth only to the body of the child. Every child comes with its own mind, its own vasanas, its own inclination. And that is why some parents, if they have got 4 children, you will find their inclinations are totally different, vary. One child shows spiritual inclination from early childhood, which spiritual inclination even the parents may not have. In fact, they discourage the child from the path of spirituality. When the child is, getting into all this, has this spiritual inclination. In fact, some parents have contacted me. They say, sir, our boy is just studying college, but he has got interest in all these Upanishads and things like that and all, and he is refusing to go to college. Please advise him. Now, what can I say to such parents? I only tell him, talk to the boy, tell him that please don't let down your parents. At least I can understand your spiritual inclination. I can understand that that is your goal in life, but at least for parents' sake, you complete your college education and then you do whatever you want to do, you feel like doing. Because this issue I have experienced personally. See, when I passed out of high school, we were given a farewell party by the school. Usual thing. And the principal gifted each one of us with an autographed copy of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Just see how life, when you connect the dots in life, how it makes a sense. I was so proud because I have heard of Gita. I knew nothing about Gita. I was so proud. I took it home and I showed to my mother. See, our principal school, wonderful school, has given me Bhagavad Gita. You know what was her reaction? She was shocked. She said, what is wrong with your principal? Gifting young boys and girls with this Bhagavad Gita. Does he want all of you to become sannyasis or what? This was her reaction. Discouragement, total discouragement. She, in fact, hid that book from me, put it somewhere. I never found that book. Only much later in my life, I found that book. It is still with me. I preserved it. Therefore, I almost missed the opportunity in this Janma also. But Bhagavan's grace seems to have prevailed. Therefore, despite all discouragement, the child becomes so spiritual. How does this child get this spirituality? In my case, I understood the sequence of events only when I started the spiritual pursuits. In fact, this is a big story, but I won't go into that. But I had probably misunderstood what my mother did as discouragement. Perhaps my mother knew that I was not spiritually mature enough to straight away study the Gita. She was a very religious person. And therefore, she initiated me into the religious path. She taught me many slokas. And she insisted that every day, even when I was a school boy, 4th standard, 5th standard, she actually taught me slokas, insisted that every day before going to school, I should spend some 10-15 minutes before the altar and then chant those slokas and then only go to school. So all these things gave me an opportunity first to pursue Karma Yoga and gain some degree of Chitta Shuddhi. And then when I was somewhat qualified, I was introduced to Vedanta by Puja Swamiji and his disciples like Swami Paramarthananda. When Swamini is there, Atma Prakashananda, she was also instrumental in introducing me to Vedanta. So perhaps It's a speculation. I was a yoga prashta in the previous janma. And that is why perhaps I am optimistic in this janma. And not only I have learned from in the Gurukulam, I have the confidence to teach or share what I have learned also. To a large extent, the concepts are clear. So, in the case of other yoga brashtas also, the mother might have given some background, some guidance to her children, in fact, all the four children rather. The environment would have been the same for all the children. But we find that in the same family, with the same parentage, one child becomes, takes to spiritual path. Another child becomes Nastika. Not only the child will have no interest in Shastra or religion, he or she becomes Nastika. Total denial of existence of God. How do you explain this wide disparity in two children born to the same parents? You can give only one answer. The child has been born with its own vasanas. And this vasana will remain dormant in the early stage of life. And when the child reaches, say, 50, 20 years of age, of course, all this will vary from child to child. For some, it may be 10 years, some 20 years, like that. The dormant vasanas become manifest. The child gets interested in spiritual books. The questions the child asks are spiritual. And we call the child a spiritual genius. But from the Shastra angle, the child is a yoga prashta of Purva Janma. Vasanas acquired in the Purva Janma are impelling the child. With those vasanas, he gets connected, which you may call it genetic mapping. So now these scientists and all do genetic mapping. So if you look at the genes of that child, the spiritual genes will be there. Swami Paramatmananda very, humorously says, for these people, spiritual genes will be there. For other people, they will be wearing the genes. And there will be some people who will be wearing the jeans day after day without washing for weeks altogether, weeks together rather. I've seen many people. They don't wash the jeans at all. I don't know what is the reason. But they like to wear all these unwashed clothes. Perhaps they love the jeans so much that they feel if they wash it, it will get spoiled. Some of them, they wear very tight jeans. So if you wash them, maybe they will shrink. So that they can't wear it. So that for this reason also, they may not be washing them. But then these yoga brashtas have got the spiritual genes, Genes. And once he has got this inclination, he has got the advantage. Like the tennis match example we saw. But even after coming to advantage, a person can lose the match because of negligence. So even after coming to advantage, like a tennis player cannot be negligent, this spiritual seeker also cannot be negligent. And that is why, there are many parents I have come across who feel very guilty because their children, they don't listen to them, listen to the parents. They've got their own thought process. And these people feel maybe there was some, uh, 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 you know, uh, uh, some gap or something more we should have done in bringing up the child. Maybe we failed to bring up the child properly. All this, some parents have actually told me this in so many words. What I tell them is we must understand that every jiva is born with four aspects. First, of course, is the aspect of parentage, right? The second aspect is the punya papa which the jiva has earned in the past janmas. The third aspect is the personality of a person is also framed by the purva janma vasanas, impressions. And lastly, one part of the personality is determined by the person's interaction with the world. When he goes out into the world, meets people and all, that also actually shapes the personality to some extent. So any person's personality, when you look, when you analyze, it consists of these four aspects: parentage, past punya papa, past vasanas, and association with the world. Therefore, the parents' contribution is only 1/4 of all this. Majority, 3/4, the parents have no control. And therefore, there is no case for any parent to feel guilty, blame themselves for not bringing up the child properly. Every parent loves the child and would have given the best, whatever was possible to the child in terms of comforts, in terms of advice, everything they would have given. But the child is also driven by vasanas and punya papas, etc. So the parents can't do anything about it. And therefore, paurva dehikam buddhi sanyogam labate. Now you may ask, how do you know that a child is a spiritual genius? How to know? Will it be written on the forehead? They put this ash, the vibhuti you put, or there it comes, appears, I am a spiritual genius. There is no way to know. We can know it only from the type of inclination. And that is why, if you go to the Gurukulam, like in Coimbatore, Arsha Vidya Gurukulam, or for that matter, any ashram also in Rishikesh, etc., you will find students of all ages and they will be pursuing Vedanta. In fact, in our class, in our batch, we had one gentleman who was 75 years old and pursuing, he has joined Gurukulam for a long-term course, residential course. Was from Bombay, of course. He is no more now. There are still people who are older, but still no interest in spirituality or anything. Fully immersed in TV programs, one after the other. See enough of them in Nana Nani. If you are conducting a class, they will run away. They will not even step into the room to even, they don't have a curiosity to know what is going on. There are people, as I said, never come anywhere near spirituality. And therefore, we cannot talk about age. Because we can talk about age only with reference to the body. But we cannot talk about the age of the mind because we don't know from when the mind started. Anadikalam. Age of the mind is different from the age of the body. And that's why we talk of Vayovriddha. The person is old only so far as his body's age is concerned. And we talk about Jnana Vriddha. Even though the body is young, the mind is mature. So if you want to calculate the age of the mind, you cannot do it. And similarly, a spiritual genius cannot take his life for granted. It is not automatic. Krishna has told, so I will automatically get moksha. No, that's not going to happen. If he is negligent in this life, despite having the spiritual inclination, in this life also he may lose. He will continue to be yoga brashta life after life. And therefore, what he should do, he should use his free will to first of all fuel or nourish his spiritual inclination. promote the spirituality within himself. Because like the fire, the spiritual interest also cannot be taken for granted. It has to be protected, it has to be fanned, it has to be nourished, like nourishing a flame. You have to put ghee. If a lamp is lit and if it is not protected, even a small breeze will put it out. Krishna, Arjuna asked, the question, like a cloudlet, will it not be blown away by the wind? So similarly, the seeker will have to nourish the spiritual flame, and therefore Krishna says, Bhuya tataha yatate. This yoga brashta of the previous janma, yatate, strives, bhuyaha again. He strives again in this janma. He puts in more efforts. But the thing is, since he has got the advantage of the Purva Janma, the effort required will be relatively less. It will be like swimming along with the current when the current is favorable to you. All that you have to do is just to float and move a little. Then you will find that with a little bit of swimming, the current itself will take you, 50 feet, 100 feet. While other people will be struggling to reach even 10 feet. So this yoga brashta have only with a little effort progresses swiftly. Therefore, bhuyaha yatate. And for what purpose? For samsiddhav, for culmination of the journey, for the success of the spiritual journey, he strives. But like we saw, the effort required is lesser only. It's like, when you start riding a cycle, initially you have to pedal a little, first a few feet, a few meters. Then you have to pedal very hard. Once it has got a momentum, it will move by itself. And in fact, after some time, you need not even pedal at all. It will continue to go on, run. So, samsiddhav he kuru nandana. So, Arjuna, therefore, be happy. You are in the right direction. Be optimistic. And like Arjuna, we are also in the right direction. There is no reason for any kind of diffidence or pessimism. Continuing. पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनैव क्रियते ह्यवशोऽपि सः जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य शब्दब्रह्माति वर्तते. The Anvaya is api avashah saha hi kriyate tena eva purva abhyasena api jigyasuhu yogasya ativartate shabda brahma. Api avashah, though not willing, saha hi hriyate, he is drawn towards yoga. Tena eva purva abhyasena, because of that very previous practice. Api jigyasuhu, though a curious student, yogasya of yoga initially, ativartate, he soon goes beyond Shabda Brahma. Shabda Brahma here refers to Karma Kanda of the Vedas. So here what Krishna is conveying another very important point. He says, though not willing, he is drawn towards this yoga because of the previous practice. Though a curious student of yoga initially, he goes beyond the Karma Kanda of Vedas. Now he is answering the question which Arjuna has not asked. But Krishna is not like a good teacher. All doubts, asked doubts, unasked doubts, he will clear. So how will this spiritual inclination express itself? In the current Janma, this person is unknowingly attracted to wherever there is a field of spirituality. Wherever there is anything connected with spirituality, he gets attracted to that. Satsang is going on, gets attracted to that. As I said earlier, this can be easily witnessed in the composition of the students in the Gurukulam, because we did a 3.5 years advanced Vedanta course. There will be elderly people, there will be youngsters also. And in fact, youngsters come in large numbers from various parts of the world. And the interesting thing is, in many cases, the parents discourage them. They tell these children, when everything is going on fine, when your life is going, you have done, these are students, boys and girls from US and all. They would have done their undergraduate course or post-graduation and all. Suddenly, they will leave everything, come to Gurukula. Of course, in case of some parents, they are associated with Puja Swamiji, and also that also is a reason. But there are cases where suddenly these boys will come. And they come in large numbers. So the parents ask, when everything is going on fine, you're completing your education, you have to get into a job, get married, settle down. Why get into Gita now? Because according to the parents, the study of Gita, etc., is meant for those who have suffered in life or who have been victims of great tragedy. Otherwise, what is the justification, they ask? And there is some truth also in that, because many people feel that people take sannyasa because they are frustrated in life. They want to run away from their home and responsibilities. But for a spiritual seeker, that is not the case. Without any tragedy, without any reason, a person can be happily attracted to spirituality because of Purva Janma Vasana. In fact, I will give you one more example from our batch. There was this young lady who had just got married. And she came to attend the 3.5 years course, leaving behind her family, husband, everybody. Can you imagine? When that spirituality, that vasana has surfaced. Of course, it is not that she had some difference of opinion. The parents, husband and all used to come to the Gurukulam to visit her, to meet her and all, regularly. But then, she will not go back. She will complete the course and only went back. So all these are, when you observe the world around you, people around you, you will find strong indications of Purva Janma Vasana. And this is not only in the field of spirituality. You can understand, empathize, because there are some people who may have bad behavior. Because this bad behavior, giving others the stress and things like that, they are a type of mental disease. A disease which they are carrying forward from the Purva Janma. So instead of hating them or punishing them, we must empathize with them. We must understand. I'm not saying that you must not deal with them in the way that their behavior deserves. I mean, getting them treated or whatever it is. But we must learn to develop empathy, sympathy for such people. They are sick people. And therefore, in this sloka, Krishna says, Purva Abhyasena, because of Purva Vasana. Because we are talking in the context of spirituality. Tena eva hriyate. Means because of Purva Janma, this person is drawn, attracted to anything connected with spirituality. Avashaha api. Avashaha means even without his will, without his deliberate plan, Unknowingly, he gets attracted. Helplessly, he gets attracted. Even if he wants to turn materialistic because of pressure from outside, he cannot survive there for long. So if you are sitting for Bhagavad Gita class and there is a knock at the door and some friend of yours is dropping in, this person will tell that person, can we meet after 1 hour? Because I am going to attend the Bhagavad Gita class. And that's very important for me. The friend will understand. He'll say, okay, there's nothing urgent. I just came to say hi, hello. We'll meet after 1 hour. If the vasanas are strong, if the vasanas are not so strong, he will send me a message because a friend has dropped in because of unavoidable circumstances. I am unable to attend today's class. Please excuse me. That is the difference. In fact, it is said about the life of Sri Aurobindo that his parents liked the Western culture. He was brought up in Calcutta. His father believed the British culture to be superior, and therefore Aurobindo was sent to an English-speaking boarding school in Darjeeling. Of course, in part to improve his language skills and in part to distance him from the Indian culture. Because Darjeeling was the center of Anglo-Indians in India. And the school was run by an Irish nuns, through which the boys would have been exposed to Christian religious teachings and symbolisms. So he was given a Western education and later on sent to England for further studies. Therefore, throughout his earlier life, there was a materialistic atmosphere. And while in England, he came in contact with people who were working for freedom of India. Some name, some India Club or something like that. Then he started feeling, or he started to feel that if working for freedom of motherland, if I am working for freedom of my motherland, should I not know about India? What is its culture? What is the history? What are its values? What is its philosophy, etc.? And this thought grew in his mind. He got sucked into that. And then you know what he did? He joined the freedom struggle. He came to India and joined freedom struggle. But that also sometime, and after that he goes to Pondicherry and he becomes a yogi. So his life history shows that even if you are brought up in a materialistic society, if the spiritual fire is there, nobody can stop you from going spiritual. And if the spiritual fire is not there, even if you associate yourself with great Mahatmas, nobody can push you into spirituality. In fact, there is a very good artist in Mumbai, whom I know personally, who was very closely associated with Swami Chinmayananda ji for over 40 years. That he himself has told me. But that person told me also that he doesn't believe in God. What to talk of Vedanta? Because as Swami Chinmayananda used to say beautifully, spiritual maturity is not a revolution. It is an evolution. You cannot force it on your spouse or child. Just because you like Gita, you cannot force it on others. You can only provide the conditions and they have to develop the spiritual interest. And in the case of this person, the yoga prashta of the Purva Janma, he is strongly pushed into spirituality because of this extra current, extra force of Purva Vasana. So when that happens, what will happen? We will see in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Hari Om Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Guruji. Namaste.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Hari Om Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Guruji, question about today's. I had in the middle of the talk, I had a question, but then again, as you continued the talk, that got clarified whatever the doubt was. I just wanted to share this. Many years ago, I'm not sure how many years ago, more than 2-3 decades ago, I was reading the parables of Sri Ramakrishna. And his life story, and then followed by the parables of Sri Ramakrishna. In that, whatever Krishna has explained in these shlokas, how your present janma punyam carries on into the next janma, and then just with little effort, some people can get enlightenment. So all those, what I read years ago, is making more sense today, listening to today's talk, Guruji. That is so wonderful, actually. And also that I think, as you have mentioned in regarding yourself, we all participants also, we must have done a lot of punya in the previous janmas to be able to sit and listen to Bhagavad Gita from you every week. And that's also very, it's a great solace to the heart to know that.
So that's why, these vasanas which are there, they will not let you relax. Someone
Yes.
bring you to back to the spiritual. That is the strength of this Brahma Vidya, that is the beauty of this whole pursuit.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that is what it is. And Krishna is very beautifully explaining all these things.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Hari Om.
That's it. Then,
Thank you, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Thank you. So fine, I will close the class. Continue next Friday. Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om, Guruji. Thank you.